Okay, let's get started. So I want you to picture this. From the wall here to the other wall, there's going to be a straight line, right? And this is the base of a triangle. I can't even speak. An equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle means all sides are the same length, and every angle is 60 degrees, all right? So it's a straight line here, and from that same distance, we're running to the middle of the room. So it's going to intersect some of you, and it's going to finish right in the middle of the room, right? You visualizing this? Equilateral triangle. All three sides are the same. Angles are equal. I am inside the triangle. Who owns the triangle? I own the triangle. Got it? Okay. Now, we're going to split that triangle into two right here. So it's the same distance here. It's half the distance here, and then we have the hypotenuse, the longest side here. That is a right-angled triangle. Different triangle, and I am outside the triangle. Who owns the triangle, Adrian?
Me?
No, I own the triangle. Okay, back to the first one, right? Equilateral triangle. I'm in the triangle. Who owns the triangle? I own the triangle. Right-angled triangle, this way. Crosses like this. Who owns the triangle, Adrian?
You.
Correct. Now I flip it. Other side of that triangle. Got it? I don't think you got it, but we'll try. Right? And we're going to run it all the way along here, all the way to the middle, and we're going to come down here, and it comes back here, and I'm inside the triangle, Jesse. Who owns the triangle?
You do.
No.
Right.
This is going splendid. A third type of triangle, an isosceles triangle. And I saw, by the way, the right angle triangle is one angle at 90 degrees, two at 45. That's important. An isosceles triangle, the angle's still up to 180, but we got a short end now. And a tall narrow that goes all the way to the end. What's your name? Brenda. So I'm at the base of the triangle, Brenda. I step into the triangle. Who owns the triangle?
You do.
You do. Yeah.
Okay.
Figured it out yet? The first person who speaks after I say the word triangle owns the triangle. It's so obvious when I show it to you, as I even tricked Adrian by saying, who owns the triangle? Adrian, which means I own it. And the second time I said, who owns the triangle, and I didn't use his name, it means the first person to speak was him. And he said, you own it. No, he owns it. Here's the thing. You're so focused on the differences with the triangles, you forgot to see the similarities. And that's what small group training is about. People get so mixed up with what do I do when two people show up at once? It's the same as training one person at a time, right? Look for the similarities in this stuff, right? So the triangle game, now that you've heard the triangle game, you'll never forget it, and you'll ruin my talk next time you see me by shouting things out, right? So if you ever come back and see me do this again, because remember, I'm not that talented and I don't have much material, you're going to be quiet when we do this trick. Thank you, Jesse, Adrian, and Brenda for playing along with that, right? So the first person who speaks owns the triangle. The part that becomes confusing is when I'm talking about angles of triangles and everything that makes it different, that overloads you. When we're training a small group, it's the same as training one person. There's just going to be another person there at the same time. And we're going to really get into that today. All right, first of all, my thank yous. Thank you, first of all, to you guys for showing up. Perform better. I've been with these guys for I don't know how long. I was saying last night, outside of my wife and a few friends back home, 2 family members, this is some of the longest relationships I've had. I've known these guys for 20-something years. And it's we used to do a lot more events. Like pre-lockdown, we were on the road together 18 times a year. So it's been good to get back seeing my friends again. I'll see them again in a month. My team, Results Fitness, for multiple years now, I am officially the worst coach in my own gym. And I'm very proud to say that. I've got my guys here who are doing fantastic work for me. And thank you very much, guys. But, and that's not, don't get that twisted, because I'm pretty good. Right, just for the record, right? But I have a strong team, so thank you to my team for allowing me to travel and do what I do. And lastly, thank you guys for coming out and raising the standards of this profession, right? And I really mean that. When you told your mom you were going to be a personal trainer, I'm sure she was ecstatic that now the family could relax, that you're gonna make it. I told her I was going to be a professional taekwondo fighter. I think she took a second job. So think about that, right? When you see a personal trainer on a TV show, if it's a comedy show, it's either like a ditzy, like aerobics instructor, dumb blonde stereotype, or it's a meathead bodybuilder, like I pick things up, I put things down, right? If it's CSI or Law and Order, 100% that personal trainer is the killer, right? It's never a professional, right? So thank you guys so much for coming out. And as a tradition in my talks, turn to the person next to you and give them a high five. Boom. And just look them in the eye. Just look them in the eye and say, hey, you made a wise choice. By choosing, keep looking at them, by choosing to sit next to a superstar like me today.
To sit next to a superstar.
All right, cheers, guys. So why am I talking about this topic? I did a seminar in Belfast a few years ago. It was like a European Perform Better event, and I was introduced as the godfather of semi-private or small group training, which is Thomas Plummer. Do you guys know who Thomas Plummer is? Hands up. Oh man, we got some veterans in the room. For everybody else, Tom's like an old guy, right? Tom's not here, so I can make fun of him. But he was like the very first business consultant for Gold's Gym and Powerhouse Gym, and he kind of gave me that title, which is cool and also makes you feel old, right? Like you're just the old guy who's doing it. But I've been teaching this. I think I first started doing this in 2008. Like all our gyms were doing that. But I first started when I was working in New York. I'll tell you how that started. I double booked clients. You ever done that? Like you just completely blanked and you get two guys show up at once. So right away your Yelp review is down, right? Luckily there was no Yelp then. So you already screwed up the customer service. What's your next move? Send one home and get a double customer service negative? You're like, all right, I got to figure this out. And I started training these two guys. I remember them, David and Ken. David actually ended up becoming an FBI informant for insider trading. That's a different talk. I'll tell you that one another time. But they were training together, and at the end of the session, I had it was two guys, like two male kind of meathead guys, that we always finish with arm farm, right? Like where we just curls and dips and things like that. And then they finished going head to head with each other. We had like 3 rounds of it. And I remember Dave, who'd never done more than 8 dips in his life, banging out a set of 16. And then Ken matched it, and then they went again. And I was like, wow, like these guys are training harder because the other guy's here. And at that point, they said, can we just get on the same schedule next week to train together? And I was like, yeah, you guys don't mind. And one of them said this, he goes, oh, I thought you always did this stuff. I thought you always trained people in groups. I just thought I came at an odd time. And this is how smart I was with that. I completely ignored it for several years. And then when I opened Results Fitness, we had like 600 square feet, and very quickly we were full and making no money. You ever had that situation when you're running a gym? No space for clients and lots of space for income, right? And then we just started figuring out, like, you could train 2 people at once. So I don't think I invented this. I'm sure guys worked out together, and it was my training partners when I was in high school and college, and we trained together. Right? And I took martial arts classes where we trained in groups. And it just was something that never really happened in fitness for some reason. Like when I first started talking about this, it was like controversial to say train 2 people at once. And I had to point out, like, so many things are done in groups, right? Firearms training is done in groups. But we won't train 2 people at a time in case we hurt the scapula. Like, come on, right? So while I don't think I invented it, I do know that I didn't have anybody to ask how to do it, right? And you run into logistics with scheduling and billing and things like that I'm going to cover over, right? So what are the benefits of this? Why small group or semi-private? And they're not the same thing. And I'm going to explain that difference shortly. It combines the benefits of personal training and group fitness, right? You have training partners who become assistant coaches, right? They help you, and I'll show some videos of that. It's cost effective for clients, and more importantly, scalable for trainers. Real quickly, if you're doing one-on-one, is anybody doing exclusively one-on-one still? All right, we're gonna make you a lot of money. You just gotta pay attention. Right? I remember having this. I had mother and father and 2 kids all doing one-on-one with me 3 times a week. That is 12 hours of my week. And I was coaching about 35 at the time, so it's a good third of your billable hours. And they were taking a 1-month vacation to Hawaii. You guys all doing one-on-one, you feel that, right? Like, ugh. And I'm trying to talk them into going separately. Like, maybe you guys should go one at a time, perhaps, right? Because maybe the kids should just go and you stay, right? Because they were gone, but I couldn't fill, these were regular clients, I couldn't fill their appointments and then get rid of these other people. So I was in this real bind. But when you're running a small group model, just one person's not in the group, right? So you can change that. So it's cost effective for clients and scalable for us because with our what's your name? Amrin doing one-on-one training. If I gave him 10 clients right now, he can't fit them in. You guys who are doing small group, you could fit them in. You add another 10 people to your income, right? Without adding any more hours, right? And lastly, it builds community and accountability. If I'm gonna leave Nick, if Nick and I are one-on-one and I'm gonna leave Nick, right? Because my job has changed and my commute's getting harder and my income's different, but I gotta leave my crew of guys I'm working out with, that's a little more bulletproof, right? Like that community is something I'm gonna have to stay with, right? An Arsa statistic has one-on-one personal training with gym members has a 3% penetration rate. Penetration rate means the number of members in the gym actually use that service, right? So think about this. I'm gonna pick on Maria. You ready?
Okay.
So Maria decides to join my gym and I'm the salesperson at this gym and I'm gonna try to sell her a one-on-one training, right? So Maria, welcome to the gym. Look around you. Most people here are not in shape. We're gonna train Mondays, we're gonna do chest, because body parts are the thing. It's international law, nothing I can do about it. Wednesdays, we're gonna do back. Friday, we're gonna do legs. Friday, you'll probably cancel, because you'll go out with your friends. All right. You're gonna have a big bottle of water with you at all time, in case you dehydrate. Gallons are important. There we go. Keep that. You could, good. You need 2. You need 2. See, playing along very well, right? What's your favorite food? Do you like pizza? Forget it. You're now on a diet. You're on my fat loss plan. In fact, you're gonna have Tupperware with food in it all the time. It's gonna be dry chicken and cold broccoli. We're gonna eat every 3 hours. You're gonna train Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and on your off days, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, we do cardio. I know you thought it was an off day. That's not what it means here.
So that
It's going to be hard, Maria. It's going to be excruciatingly hard, and you're going to get results very slowly. In fact, most people don't get very much results. Look around, you can see it. They don't train hard enough. But we're going to make a difference with you. And it's going to be tough, and it's so hard. If you ever stop, it all goes away. Are you in? I've got to get 100 people to buy this to get 3 personal training clients, right? That's how low that works. However, group exercise has, thank you, by the way. Group exercise has a penetration rate of 50%, which is skewed because traditionally it's been free, right? It's traditionally been free, but watch this. Ladies, cover your ears. Guys, I'm talking to you. Have you ever been at a social gathering with your wife or girlfriend and another couple, and one of the ladies needs to use the ladies' room? That's the language they use. They don't go, I need a pee. They go, I'm going to use the ladies' room. And there's a field trip. They all go. They don't even want to pee on their own. They want to do things in groups, right? Then they come into the gym, we separate them. That's a dumb idea. Guys, cover your ears. Ladies, you can pay attention now. Have you ever watched your husband or boyfriend watching a sporting event with a ball with his friends? And their team has a point happen? And they jump up and high-five each other and say, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This is what we need to be doing. Like they are somehow involved with this team. They had something to do with what is happening here. They don't even want to watch a sporting event on their own. Yet they come into the gym and we're like, you're so unique. You're such a beautiful little flower. You need your own special training program over here. Right? It doesn't work. People don't want to do it, right? They want to train in groups, and we've tried to push against that, right? So let's flip it on its head. Why ever should fitness training, why ever is one-on-one superior? I used to have to convince people why small group is better. And now I want to play the reverse game. Somebody convinced me why one-on-one is a superior model. Because cardiac rehab isn't done one-on-one. Physical therapy is often done in groups. Chemotherapy is done in groups. Martial arts training, where they choke each other unconscious and kick each other in the skull, is done in groups. Swimming lessons for kids. Just think of the devastation that could happen in a swimming lesson. In groups, with a little tube on their arms that will save their life, right? I'll tell you why I think one-on-one happened is because I went up to Adrian and I said, can you train me? And he said, yeah, come in at 9. And then Stone said to Adrian, can you train me as well? And Adrian, who's the first ever personal trainer in the world, said, yeah, come at 10. If you'd have just done it at 9, we would never have had one-on-one training. Now, one-on-one training, you can charge a lot of money. I get that. But I know I can make more money with 2 people in the group paying 60% of that pricing, right? So that's a better model for you, right? So Ultra Fitness report from 2016. 8.3 million health club users used a personal trainer, representing 12% of club consumers. 18 million users engaged in group training. More people were doing group training. Again, it's a little bit skewed because this includes a large group like step aerobics type classes, that the old school thing. Percentage of consumers per household income bracket engaging in small group training. Look how I did this, by the way. Right, watch this. See how I go around this? That's high level presenting skills, by the way. You're going to watch people later and they're going to walk in front of this. You're like, you don't know what you're doing, right? You have to walk around that, right? So if you look at the penetration rate across all income brackets, it's very similar. That's pretty cool. With one-on-one training, it only appeals to the top income demographic, so you can reach more people with this, right? Small group training, we're more likely to be female. 45.8% of Gen Z use small group training. Some of these stats are a little bit older. There's not a whole lot of data really post-pandemic that's really valuable, but 26% of fitness-only clubs, that's ones that don't have racquetball, swimming, etc., use small group training. So it's a big market, right? The 2018 report, small group is twice as popular as personal training. So just doing quick math, if you charge 51% of your personal training rate and you have twice as many people, you're making more money, right? And I don't suggest you charge as low as that. The fitness training report is the leading moneymaker in most clubs, and retention rates on average for small group training was found to be 88%. I think that's a little high, right? I think that's probably when it was more new, right? But it still has a big retention rate. That's something to be strong. So what you learn today, I'm just getting started. Designing the workouts, creating a supportive, motivating community environment, tailoring workouts to diverse fitness levels, and scaling your business, right? So small group training versus semi-private. Semi-private is kind of a weird phrase, like it's like semi-pregnant. Right? It's not a thing, but I'm gonna tell you how I define it. If you go into a physical therapy or a hospital ward, and every single person in that room has a right ACL injury, and the doctor or the therapist is working with all of them, I call that small group training. The same program, the same thing we're working on, right? Maybe scaled, but the same thing. Then a doctor comes in and he's got somebody with the flu here, somebody with an ankle injury here, or the therapist working with like 7 different injuries. To me, that's semi-private, where it's delivered in a group environment, but the programming is different, right? Which makes it no different for the consumer for one-on-one, but vastly different for the coach, because you got to be moving, you got to have your head on a swivel, and you got to be working, right? So my definition is small groups, several athletes being coached at the same time on the same program. Scalable exercises, like we change the exercise intensity. And you're already doing this. If everybody did dumbbell bench press, you would change the weights, right? So first of all, you understand if you have 2 people that they'd work in with each other, they might change the weights. Well, if we just have that as our first step, we're going to change the weights. Maybe we also change the rep range, right? So I've got weight and rep range. And then maybe I change it from a dumbbell bench press to dumbbell incline bench press. Now I've got an exercise variation. And then one person does it perhaps alternating and one person does it together. Same family tree, right? Same family tree. right? But I can individualize it starting from that. Now, if you can do that, you could do a completely different exercise too, right? Because even though they're similar, you could have somebody else doing step-ups instead, like completely different, right? Semi-private is an individualized program delivered in a group environment. My idea is I've got a one-on-one client, a one-on-one client, and a one-on-one client, and I'm just coaching all three. And I'm just moving, right? I'm doing zone coverage. Like, what's your name? Courtney finishes her set, Adrian starts her set. What's your name?
May.
May starts her set. I'm like, when you're finished, you're going to finish this exercise. You've got a 1 minute rest, and I want you to start push-ups. What do we got next? I'm on like this. We could be working all three. They don't even have to talk to each other, right? I'm the head coach moving between them. It's like going to like a physical therapy office where it's all open and the therapist moves around while some people are doing exercises, right? Now, they'll end up talking to each other. They'll end up being friends. But that's the idea, right? That I'm moving around, right? So what is this? Is this semi-private or small group? Looks the same, right? Right? Because Sharon's doing chin-ups, Vanessa's doing front squats, and they could swap afterwards, right? Small group. By the way, where would I be if I was in this picture?
A little bit. Hold on. But
Hold the tripod. No. Where would I be if I was in it? Where would I be coaching?
there is ladder.
Front squat. What's going to happen if Sharon can't do a chin-up?
So
Nothing happens. Safe. What happens if Vanessa gets stuck in that front squat? Right? So that's something we're going to cover later, is that where are you in this session? Where's the coaching intensive lift? Where's the spotting lift? Right? But you can't tell the difference here because unless you see the whole session, this snapshot just looks the same. What if I told you they were both one-on-one clients? Just looks the same, right? Like, remember the triangle, focus on the similarities. Two people are training here. Now, they are in a group and they are semi-private, but I could have them doing that same program. That's my wife's training partner on the left there, Sharon, and they do the same program. They do small group training with me, right? Vanessa's in a different group. She's semi-private, but the only thing that changes is the actual designing of the session, which I'll get to. All right. So they're more alike than different, right? Two branches, same tree. You guys seen Karate Kid Legends? It's the new like Karate Kid reboot. It's hot garbage, don't see it. But that line is two branches of the same tree. Kung Fu and Karate are two branches of the same tree. I'll use that phrase a lot. That's the only thing I got out of that movie. I'm gonna say that a lot.
Liz.
So it's a reboot of Karate Kid, and half of you are young to understand. Karate Kid was a movie in the 80s, right? You think it was a Cobra Kai show on Netflix. It started before. I had it on VHS. VHS, by the way, it's a thing, right? It was like you had the movie on a cassette and you put it in the thing, and sometimes it got tangled up and got destroyed, right? And then it became a DVD, and then it became a Blu-ray, and then it all went away, and it's called streaming. I'm going to say stuff that you don't need to take notes on. I'm going to say over here. Important stuff I'm going to say over here. so you know you can have a break when I go over that side of the room, right? So why does it work, right? Personalized attention versus large classes, right? Remember, the biggest pushback I get is you don't get as much personal attention in a small group environment as you do one-on-one. That is correct, but I already showed you 97% of people who go to a gym get no instruction, no attention. So I'm going to use the sprinkler method, which I'll teach later, on how I give everybody in the group attention, right? So large classes are great. You can go bigger and bigger and bigger with classes, but just understand every person you add, there is going to be less attention. That's just the nature of it, right? If I was teaching this class one-on-one to you for your business, we'd fast track this and figure out things that were exactly right for Courtney that may not be right for me. Right? But as we do a big group, it becomes more general. That is not a negative, that's just an observation. That as the group gets bigger, attention does go down, but it doesn't mean they get no attention, right? The hardest part for one-on-one, how many people ever did one-on-one in the past? Hands up. Some of you guys never did. It's kind of cool. This just means I've actually made an impact in this industry. But I remember having to watch shows because I had like Mary tomorrow. And we had 2-minute rest periods. And I needed to know what was going on with American Idol because Mary was going to talk about it, or The Bachelor. And so I'm watching shows, so I'm like, oh man, Can't believe you didn't give her a rose. That was some bullshit, wasn't it? Like, you had to be like, you had to kind of be relevant with these people because you had this downtime in training. Now Mary, I'd be like, good job, Mary, I'm moving on, right? I don't have to watch any dumb shows. I would just go and coach the next person. So social support increases adherence. There's several studies that if I just watch you train, you'll do 30% more work. No instruction as a coach, no encouragement, no words of affirmation. I'm just watching. Now there's 3 of us watching Adrian. Me, I'm the coach, and Courtney and May are here, and Adrian's about to do chin-ups. I bet he gets a PR, because we're just looking at him. Now we might just say, go on, Adrian, push. That'll get him a double PR. But that's magical. That increases the adherence, because you're not only missing your session with your coach, you're missing your teammates. Higher engagement and energy, scalable for the business. Keep using that phrase. Just write it down somewhere where you see it's scalable. Unless you run out of physical space, and even then I would change some stuff in your layout, you can add another person to that group, up to the limits of your own skill set. Right? Lower barrier to entry for the clients, a lower price point. See this here? This is called a win-win. See, the crumbs go down the tube, Budgie eats the crumbs, no mess. Win-win. That's what small group training is, a win-win. Right? Come on, that was freaking good. It took a long time. It took a long time finding that slide, right? And this is important, flexible scheduling. I've had this a lot. A client has to move their schedule. You're on one-on-one and you're busy, you're out of luck. Like, I can't come in on Monday at 4, do you have anything else? I'm like, no, I'll see you next Monday. I had this recently because I was here with Perform Better, my Friday morning crew. One trains on Wednesday. She goes, can I switch later this week? Can I switch to Friday? And I'm like, I'm not in Friday, so I'll see her next week. But typically, yeah, no problem. And I don't open up any more hours. She slots in another group. That schedule becomes super flexible. That's a huge advantage for clients over the one-on-one, which because kind of schedule. And over any type of class schedule. Like if you're going to take a jiu-jitsu class at another gym, it's at a certain time. Small group training can be any time that we're open. Right? Plus, it's fun. Here's my girls all doing chin-ups. See if I have sound. Put my sound up here. Look, rookie moves. That sound's not working there. But
That's great.
all right. This is Laurie, one of my coaches at the end. Held that the whole time. Right? She's my oldest, and I put her first, which was a terrible idea, right? Because you're like my oldest client. But check this out, right? Boom. This is a little smaller group. There's actually 2 semi-privates together. Kelsey, Wendy, Brandy is one of my coaches. Vanessa, you guys saw earlier. And this is Chelsea. Chelsea's first ever chin-up.
Nice.
Live.
Thanks.
Do you think I would do that if I didn't think she would make it? Like I'd record it, knowing that she might not make it? Because I knew the power of the group. When our friends all go bang, 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 bang. And she wasn't not going to make it, like I knew she was strong enough, but putting in that environment got her to get a PR. That was her first chin-up. Her last workout, we did like 4 sets at 6. Right, very quick. It takes a long time to get a female to be able to do 1 chin-up, but when they get 1 chin-up, you usually get 2 within 3 days, right? And it can grow up like that, right? But it's kind of a cool thing. They wanted to train together. So where do you start? Here's my rule. As of now, Armin, line in the sand, I offer multiple sessions at once. You don't have to convince anybody of anything. And you may have to talk to some of your one-on-one clients to tell them how you're going to change going forward. There's a whole script I can give you to do that. But basically you start now is that every appointment I have 3 to 4 available. If you're not comfortable with that, start with 2. Just have 2 spots available on your schedule every hour, right? Or every how long your sessions are, right? So who is this for? Honestly, I can't think who it's not for. Right? I've had an obstacle course 100 meter. That's my phone. I bet it's a spam call. Yeah, it is. Sorry about that. Usually my phone's on silent. Who? I don't know. I don't know who it wouldn't be for. Like I've had a 100 meter obstacle course racer, world champion, fat loss male client, and just a badass mom training together. Like their programs don't change. My coaching style changes, right? So who is it for? I can't think who it's not for. I have a couple of people in the movie industry who will buy up the extra sessions, right? So they don't get one-on-one training, they buy 6 spots of small group training. And the whole idea is they can, if they want to, bring any of their friends to the session. Like that's how kind of that works. But that's more just because they're rich. So how many people? I think you can go up to 6 if you're a good coach. And I don't mean that as an insult. Like it takes, your first time going from 1 to 2 is going to be hard. But when you can do 2, 3 is quite easy. And then you start doing it. And it also depends who's in the group, right? Because we have, you guys that are doing small group know this. You know the ones that are completely like autonomous and you're almost just witnessing them training, right? They're just doing their program, they're working hard, you're just checking in, spotting. And you've got others who you're just like, man, if I turn my back, right? And with those, or we have it if we have a beginner start with us and they go in a small group. Our first phase of programming, our first session with a beginner, they do half the volume, right? So they don't do all the work sets. They're going to do about half of them in that first session, and we allow 2 appointments for that. So they get like 4 times the normal attention when they're beginners, right? Because they're needing that. They don't know what they're doing, right? But as you grow your business, they need less and less individualized attention. You're just there to coach and push, right? So logistics, look at your space, look at the jams in your equipment. If you've got 1 squat rack and you've got 6 people training, you're going to have a hard time if everybody has squats that day, right? So you're going to have to look at equipment. That's actually important. It should be on this side. All right. Say that again. So if you have 1 squat rack, right, or 1 cable unit, so at our gym, we have 3 of everything, right? We look at 3 of everything. I find that's just the sweet spot, right? We have 3 cable units, 3 benches, 3 sets of dumbbells that are the lighter weights, 3 squat racks. We actually have in like each room will have 3 squat racks because we use more free weight stuff. But you're looking for logistics, right? If everybody does a TRX core exercise, you got to get 2 or 3 TRXs, right? So that's the logistics of it. Pricing, if you're doing one-on-one training, start at about 60% of that price. So on the second session, your income's up, right? I prefer, this is a business talk, I prefer bi-weekly billing and annual agreements, but that'll be next year's seminar, right? So logistics and pricing. Everybody starts with us with the functional movement screen, right? This just lets me know where you are and how do you move. Like I don't have any, I wrote a book, New Rules of Lifting in 2004. Last year I actually said this, or the year before. I saw a review on Amazon from a guy who's like 20 who reviewed my book. It said, nothing new here, so much for this being called New Rules of Lifting. I was like, dude, I wrote it when you were 2, right? It was new then. But the idea of that book, it was the first beginner's book in a long time, and it talked about movement patterns, not muscle groups. Everything had been bodybuilding muscle groups until that point. So I talked about movement patterns. The movement patterns are squat, lunge, hinge, push, pull, twist, and gate, single leg stance. So all the functional movement screen is, if you see across the top, squat, single leg stance, lunge, the shoulder mobility is a reaching pattern. The straight leg raise on the bottom is a hinge pattern. And then I have a push and I have rotation, I have twist. It just tells me how people can do these movements. So I have my program in my head, what we're going to do. I'm going to train Nick, and Nick's told me his goals, and I got a rough idea. And then this movement screen tells me he maybe shouldn't do overhead pressing. This gives me a little piece of extra information to individualize it a little more. It suggests I take something out, or maybe add something, right? Maybe add something else in. But I start everybody with that. And this is a sales tool. If you know the functional movement screen, when you talk to a client who comes in, a good little tip is just to say, hey, has anybody ever taken the time to truly look at how your body moves before they wrote you a fitness program? No one ever says yeah to that. It's like, no, I'm like, we're going to do that, right? And it gets me information with the client. It builds rapport with the client. And now I have a rough idea of how this client's going to move, right? So that's where I start. So designing the session, I'm going to cover how to design the session. And I'm going to cover, my goodness, I haven't even started. I'm going to cover how to design the session. I'm going to cover how to implement the session. So I think for small group training today with people that are busy, not only should it be full body training, it should be full fitness training. right? I think the days of, when I was joking with Maria earlier, the days of body part and cardio being separate days, I don't get that type of movement. I don't get that type of schedule availability, that ability to move around the schedule with most of my clients, right? So I have to get everything in every time, right? So RAMP is our term for warm-up. It stands for range of motion, activation, movement prep, or raise, activate, mobilize, potentiate. This is the thing, your client said, did you warm up today? They're like, yeah, I walked here, it's hot. Like, it's not what I meant. Like, if I say that you do your RAMP, did you go through all your movements and mobilize every joint and progress? The answer will probably be no, and then we do that. So we build into that, which moves seamlessly into core training, right? I think core training is a separate training component. Everyone asks you, why do we do it first? Don't you get that? People ask you, like, why do you do core first? They ask me that a lot. Well, why do you guys always do it last? Like, you finish with 100 sit-ups at the end, right? That was always the finisher. So there's something with exercise order, or some science on exercise order, showing whatever's trained first gets the most benefit. So I think core training is always needed and always undertrained. Then we move into power, strength training, and metabolic. So the key is, this is my framework for the session. We're doing full body, full fitness every session, right? That's a key piece. So RAMP is done as a group. Core training, we can break out, right? So when we all come in to train, if you're all in my semi-private group, and we'll do this in the lab this afternoon, the hands-on, you're all in my group, we could RAMP and do the same warm-up, right? And then when we break out into core, where I'm like, all right, you guys are over here, I want you doing TRX. You guys are over here, I want you doing plank, side planks. Right? And then we can switch those groups over, we can break out. Then we come back to power, we can stay at breakout, or I can bring us back in so we train together. Now, when you get it dialed in, your clients will become autonomous and they'll just start doing this on your own. But in the beginning, you're gonna have to direct it, right? So you'll bring them back in for power or keep them separate. You can do 2 stations, I'm not sure how to do that. Resistance training is breakouts. Again, you can be running completely on your own, or I could have 3 people here. I could have Chris, Maria, and Nick in one station, and I could have another station over here, and then those guys switch stations. Like 3 exercises in each station and then flip them. And then metabolic training is always fun to finish that as a group, right? You bring them back together for a finish. I'm gonna run it exactly like this afternoon so you guys can see what we do, right? So warm up we do as a group, move it into core. Core we break down into those 4 sections. So we'll usually do 2 sections each day, like so plank and bird dog one day, side plank and anti-rotation press the other day, something like that, right? So I'm hitting everything, breaking down core. Pairing or trisets is how we use this. The whole idea of a straight set and rest and a straight set and rest is kind of outdated, or could be for some specialized training, right? But my idea is, if you finish a set of squats and I'm going to rest 2 minutes before we do another set of squats, why don't I rest a minute, do another unrelated exercise, rest another minute, and go back to squats? That gives me 3 minutes rest between sets of squats, but I only got 1 minute of downtime. Right, so everything is a pair or a triset. Just so you're aware, a triset is 3. Sometimes we do quad sets, it's 4. Tune in next week for cutting edge shit from me. Right? All right, so here's a pair, here's a core pair. This is a plank. Vanessa's doing a plank, Rachel's doing foam sitting in the background. Sometimes called foam rolling. That's just foam lying on your side, checking your phone, it looks like, right? And then Tiana's doing it's just a side plank with integration of the core, right? The purpose of the core is to stabilize the spine while the extremities are moving, right? So all she's doing there is just a side plank, and I got 2 extremities moving. And my whole thing as a coach, I'm just looking at she holding the plank, right? Vanessa just looks, everybody sees the push-up and thinks it's cool. That's just a moving plank. Are the extremities moving, right? So this is just a pair, right? And the nice thing with this is it's got to be and I'll get into this in a bit with the strength stuff, it has to be non-competing so we can go dense and intense. We can roll like that, right? So power training is our next part. Lower body, jumps, 2 feet to 2 feet, hops, 1 foot to 1 foot, bound, 1 foot to the other foot. That covers lower body power. Upper body, if you're not doing Olympic lifts, medicine ball throws. they'll hit everything. We're gonna have forward, down, rotational, rotational. Got 4 angles and you'll hit all the power, right? So this is a semi-private session, but I got T doing the same exercises, right? So this is a combination, obviously, because I got some lower body in there, but it's just really a rotational med ball slam. And then she's moving into a single leg zigzag hop. I'm going to call it something else because I can't say zigzag. Right? But this is just a pairing. We keep it short. You just go back and forth. You could spend 5 minutes here and get 3 or 4 rounds of this in because everything is short. Key with power training, just write this down. Power training is not conditioning, right? You want to have a longer rest with this so we can keep the quality high. All right. Now into our strengthening, right? So if you look how we've done this, we could be half an hour in at this point in an hour session, right? We're warmed up, we've moved, we're getting metabolic with that warm up. We're getting the range of motion. Then we move into core and we're working pretty hard there. Maybe 3 to 5 sets of core exercise in there. Then into power, usually 1 upper, 1 lower, paired together. Just go back and forth. And you could just run it like this. Like I could just have my A team here, my assassins. I got Courtney, May, and Adrian all training together. I goes, we're just gonna run the clock for 8 minutes. Do sets of 5, just alternate between these exercises for the next 8 minutes. Take a break in between. They'll just get quality work done there, right? And I can just be in my head, I'm like, all right, that's 8 minutes, move into the next section, right? So when you get to resistance training, we're gonna stay with the pairing or the tri-sets, but what we have to watch is for non-competing pairings and be aware of coaching intensive lifts or spotting. So here's a good circuit. Dumbbell reverse lunge paired with chin-ups, then dumbbell squats, like our dumbbell RDLs, and then paired with dumbbell row. Pretty good, right? Pretty good little circuit, right? Until you realize that will just destroy the grip, right? When you hit those dumbbell rows, the hand's going to be gone, right? And this is an easy mistake to make when you're programming. You switch something out and you don't realize you switched from a barbell squat, right? Or a barbell squat or a barbell reverse lunge to dumbbells and you brought the grip in, right? They have to be completely non-competing. Right, that's how you can keep it. I don't need anything from that last exercise on this next exercise. That's part of the key. Second, be aware of coaching intensive lift spotting. I don't do a whole lot of barbell bench press in my small groups. It's in there. It's the one exercise where unsupervised you could die. Right, that is just even like unless you got the pin set up. Right, it's the one exercise I want to be there. If somebody misses a chin up or a sled push, nothing ever bad happens. Right? Somebody misses, even when they miss a squat, they can just dump it into the racks. A bench press, I need to be there, right? So you have to look at, if I've got a circuit and I've got these guys all doing things, I'm looking at the sequence because I know Courtney's got front squats coming and I want to be there when she's doing those. I've got to look at these 2 guys' program too to make sure that I can spot her safely, right? Similarly, I'm giving May something super complex. She's doing a hang dumbbell snatch to split stance, right? That's a coaching intensive lift, right? Her other 2 groups in that will be a push-up and a row, which are not coaching intensive. So I can sprinkle my attention, right? So when you're programming it, start thinking, where do I need to be in this session? What is the coaching intensive lift? And try to limit those to 1 or 2 per workout. And then you keep the simple ones, the ones that you have to spot, 1 or 2 per workout. Right? If you've got 6 people all doing barbell bench today, you are only going to be at the barbell bench. That's all right, but there can be no other spotting exercises for you. Everything else has to be they can do it without you. Right? So that's key. Non-competing pairings and being aware of coaching intensive lifts and spotting. Here's a quick way to do it. Front squat and a half kneeling cable row. Front of the lower body, back of the upper body. Nothing crosses over there. Right? You finish the front squat, you can go to half kneeling cable rows and go heavy. It doesn't really fatigue you. The grip's not involved. Where would I be? What happens? This is actually me doing the cable row. What happens if I can't row? Just let it go, right? With the reason that some clients will just do a horrible form. You got to check in with that, right? But in general, you're going to be safe. Nothing happens there. At the front squat, you can get stuck at the bottom, right? So if you're going to be there, you're with the front squat with this section, right? But this is a non-competing pairing, right? There's another non-competing pairing, a single leg step up pattern, a single leg stance pattern. We call it a squat pattern still, with a vertical pushing pattern, right? There's no rest. I'm kneeling in the second one. We use half kneeling a lot because it puts me in a very stable position, right? It puts people in a good position to spot. When they lose their line, they can't lift the weight. It's what we call self-limiting, okay? So here's an easy section for you. Some type of squat plus a horizontal pull for block 1, right? And the second one is a single leg hinge and a vertical push.
What?
So let me break this down, right? I got 4 exercises here. Now I'm going to coach all of them. Which is the only one here I need to be at?
What?
You got it, right? What if I cannot be at the squat? I would switch it to a goblet squat, which now becomes safe again, right? Or double kettlebell front squat. So while a lot of this is about just delivering your program in a big group, you also have to design it like the best way so you can administer it, right? You have to think about where am I in this situation, right? If I'm doing a front squat or a barbell back squat, what else do I need there? A squat rack. Well done, Adrian. Go ahead. Everyone else is like, don't know, all right? Yeah, I know. I was only kidding. You all knew. You just were scared I was a trick question, all right? Because I do those. So I need a squat rack for that. That's tied up. When I do single leg hinge and vertical push, what do I need?
Done. Space.
Space. This session works real well because I only need one dedicated space, right? Everything else I can go anywhere. Like we're crazy busy here. I'm like, all right, we're gonna do your hinges over here, right? Grab the dumbbells and go over here, right? You ever had somebody who like you guys are so familiar with gyms, none of you do this, I'm sure, right? Because you're, like I've spent more time, when I grew up doing martial arts, like I have this thing called black belt eyes, where you go into a gym and I'm like, man, look at this place. There's some hard sparring here. There's teeth on the floor, blood everywhere. There's some killers. I found my home, right? Tip, clients don't like that, right? Same with the gym. Because you guys are not normal. You don't think like this, right? Have any of you ever done a really hard leg workout? So hard that you couldn't get down the stairs the next day? Look at you. Look around at your friends. Think about that workout where you're like, could barely get off the toilet. Look at her. Look how happy she is. That is not normal. We're not normal, right? We're not normal, and you have to understand this because we're not the client, right? She's like, couldn't get down the stairs for 2 days. Beast mode, what's up? Right? Sorry, hashtag beast mode, right? It's hashtag you have to do now. And she'll put a sticker on her water bottle that says beast mode on it, right? We're not normal. But you'll have clients who will be getting the dumbbells and they're like, I have to do dumbbell lateral raises, and these are the dumbbells. And they're like, right. And this is where they stand. And they will do their dumbbell lateral raises right in front of everybody's dumbbells, right? Or right above Maria, who's doing push-ups here, right? They're lifting dumbbells. So you have to teach your clients where to go for things. This is another part of administering your session. I'll tell you something, you'll start noticing this now if you haven't already. If I taught Adrian a kettlebell swing for the first time, and for whatever reason, we did it here, next week when he's doing it on his own, he will go to the back of the gym, he will get the kettlebell, and he will walk it back here, because this is where you do kettlebells.
Okay.
So think of this when you start. I made a mistake with the cable row, the free motion cable row, of showing clients how far out it could come. What they thought I said was pull this out as far as you can and block all people from walking by you with this like razor blade line that could kill people. So whenever you teach an exercise, think about where are you going to teach it, because that's going to be reinforcing where they're supposed to go with this. And that can make or break your training session, right, when you start getting that. If I did single leg hinge and vertical push, here's a tip. We put the weights we're going to use in the same spot. So Adrian just stays in that area, right? So here's another tip, right? I'll get to this in designing the session. I know where he is. And I know where Courtney's going to be on the squat rack. I just have to find where May's going to be. And I'm going to position myself where I can see all three at once, right? Where I can run the zone, right? I'm not going to be standing watching Adrian do his single leg hinge while there's a near-death experience happening on the squat rack behind me. Not that you would ever miss a squat rack, which is very strong. Right. Here's my second one, a hinge and a horizontal push. The second block would be single leg squat and vertical pull. Where's the spotting exercise?
The horizontal.
All can be. All of them can be. Horizontal push is the one where the weights can come down on top of you, unless I'm doing a push-up, right? If I'm using dumbbells for all of these, right? Where is the one place, what equipment do I need for the first one that is not a weight? Bench, or unless I'm doing push-ups. For the second one, what do I need?
Just vertical something,
So now I've got flexibility in my stations, right? But I need to be at a chin-up bar or a cable machine for the vertical pulling movement, right? There's the jam in the system. You're looking at where are my jams? Where are my jams when I'm running this session, right? So if you got all your clients in front of you, you're looking at these workouts, start looking at where's my coaching intensive lifts, where's the ones I need to spot, where are the jams in my system. I can tell you, my coaches are great, but I'm going to tell you, they're going to have learned an exercise this weekend from one of my fellow presenters, and they are going to think it is mandatory for all clients to do this exercise starting Monday because it's great, right? And you'll see if we buy a new piece of equipment, Pete Holman, who the inventor of the glute slide, he sent me a glute slide, and we started using it, but we only have one right now. So it becomes the jam in the system, right? Because if you've got 6 to 12 clients coming in, they've all got glute slide reverse lunges, guess what? Nobody's got glute slide reverse lunges, right? Because you can't get on the machine. So just write that down. Look for your coaching intensive lifts and look for the jams in the system and areas that I don't need to be anywhere for the hinge. I just need to have the weights, right? I need to have a space to do that, right? So here's a pairing is Brandy doing a deadlift. You know what's really annoying? I could not get these videos to start at the same time. But when Brandy finishes her deadlifts here, Vanessa's going to start doing push-ups and Brandy's going to keep doing deadlifts. But that's just that was a that side conversation, right? When you're doing your presentation, see how it keeps going now? I couldn't figure that out. But there's a hinge and a horizontal push. There's no crossover fatigue there, right? If Vanessa misses the push-up, she pushes her knee on the ground, right? Nothing bad happens. If Brandy misses the hinge without losing form, right? I get that. She just, it stays on the ground, right? This is a cool story. Brandy's not in the room. I sent her to Brendan's class so we could divide the team. But she had a back injury postpartum after her last baby, and she had a back injury. And we started with like baby kettlebells off a box. But she had to certify as Strong First. Strong First, a kettlebell strength organization. She had to certify Strong First Elite, which is 1.5 times body weight for 3 reps. So that's actually the first time she did it. But she didn't know I filmed it, and she got mad when I put it on Instagram. All right, now think about this too. If we think back to small group, we're going to use this term scaling. All right, so Vanessa's doing a reverse lunge with dumbbells in space. Right? I don't need anything other than the dumbbells for that space, right? Now Casey is doing a single leg. This gets called a skater squat sometimes. I call it a one-legged deadlift, but he's getting a little more hingy than she is. But do you guys see the similarities between these two? Right? That they're kind of in the same family tree. 2 branches, same tree. Thank you, Karate Kid Legends. But in the background of Vanessa's video, you can see Casey in the mirror in the corner. As she drops her head, he's doing it at the same time, right? They're in my same session, right? But if you're a young coach, you're like, wow, these are 2 different exercises. I just see something similar. I see the green apple and the red apple. These are the same. My cues are going to be, like we use external cues. Show your Superman logo, which is like chest up, right? I can give that cue to both of them at once because it's the same pattern, right? right? Casey has a little more hinge with that pattern and a little more knee and hip flexion. But really, if you look at that staggered stance, it's a similar movement, right? That becomes easy to coach. If you can dial that in and they're doing similar family tree stuff, you can give a global cue. Right? We call that sprinkler cueing, right? So there's a small group where they're actually doing the very similar movements. They're just scaled in terms of their intensity. Here's another one, right? I got Kat in the background doing a slider RDL. Like she got a little knee bend, like a slider RDL. She got a slider on the back foot, she's going with dumbbells. And Anna in the front is doing a staggered stance RDL. Same family tree again, right? You see that? Same cues for both of them, right? And this is, I actually took that video, so I'm standing at that angle where I can see two of them at once, right? So I can scale the movement. I talked earlier, we could change the rep range, we could change the weights, and I could scale the movement. But this is that same family tree. This is heading into sort of single leg hinging, right? You can just see how you scale it. You getting that, right? So that's how you'll kind of work it. And then we finish with, this is from a large group, we finish with really a metabolic finisher. We bring everybody back together, right? And we just hit a little hard cardio. We'll do something like that this afternoon as a special surprise for you guys. But here they go. This is this Courtney having a near-death experience, right? Right. So they finished with a mountain climber for core, and then it just was a squat finisher. You know what's funny? See this? Look at their hands in the squat, right? Watch everybody, and you guys will do this afternoon. Everybody ever does this little kung fu salute all the time, right? Like I just watch it all the time. I've been in so many countries that have bodyweight squats, and everyone's like, or the real athletic ones give me the little swing one, like, like just look, they're cueing. Look, they're all doing it. No one told them to do that. You think that's where your hands are supposed to be? This is something that when you start looking at coaching and you realize, I've never taught that. Where did this come from, right? And like I don't try to undercorrect it. And there's Sharon just swinging around back and forth, right? She's joining in. And you look at Donna right at the top. See the little swing with the arms, like clap, kung fu salute, like. Oh, that should have been on that side. I don't know what. I have no point with that. Just think it's a funny observation, right? So we finish with the metabolic finisher, and then at the end, here's a sample program. So core for time, we'll just run that block 5 to 10 minutes. Just run it through. We can hold core if we're doing anything. ISO is held for time. There's 3 ways you can program something. Time, where we just hold for 30 seconds. Breaths, 5 deep breaths, or reps. Do 6 reps. If there's no movement, if you're doing ISOs, time or breaths works really well, right? So I can program there anti-extension, which would be a plank, anti-rotation, be a press out. I'd use it for time or reps. Power, I'd run for rounds. Strength is a combination. I'd probably do a squat and a horizontal pull, maybe sets at 8. And I could say, right guys, 3 rounds. Or we're gonna do as many rounds as we can in the next 10 minutes, right? I program that. If they get more than a certain number of rounds, that's my spell check. The weight goes up. Right? It's too light if they can turn it into cardio. Right? But all these little ideas I want you to get is that these are ways you can enhance the training experience by just figuring out how to deliver it a little bit better. Right? That's the second day where I really hit all the other movement patterns. So the power, a med ball throw paired with a jumper hop, med ball throw paired with a jumper hop. Different variation the second day. Right? Strength for time will be a hinge and a horizontal push. And you see that again. This is the ones I showed up earlier. This is my pairing. I don't come off of this too much. Right? I feel like that works best. It keeps it non-competing, allows me to go dense and intense. Right? Dense and intense is we go hard, right? And we keep the rest periods short. We're gonna get a lot of work done. I don't get a lot of time I've got a couple of clients that'll give me 5 days a week, right? I'm not in a world where I get 2 a days with people. So I gotta get everything done, right? So we bring them back in the middle and we do some type of chant like that at the end when we're doing that, just to leave on a high point. We wanna be the best part of our members' day every day, right? But what if you've got a whole bunch of people, all different athletes, all doing different things? And that's just how the schedule fell. You've got your national team members coming in for a certain sport, you've got your body comp clients coming in, and you've got your rehab clients coming in. Well, luckily for you, I'm going to cover that right now. This is my last session. There's a lot of different stuff here. Casey did a single leg back squat, his first 2 exercises paired with ring pull-ups. Vanessa did drop the split squat with half kneeling full compress. Wendy did cable tall kneeling pull downs with a double kettlebell front squat. Ryan did landmine skater squats, 1 arm push up. T did a split stance iso pull with a push press to single leg stance. 10 different exercises coached by one guy at the same time. But let me break down what I'm seeing. Squat and vertical pull. Squat and vertical push. Vertical pull and squat. Squat and horizontal push. Hinge is vertical push. They're just in those family trees, right? So I'm coaching the same thing. Casey, single leg back squat is the bar on his back. I gotta be with Casey. Ring pull-ups, I don't have to be with them. Vanessa, I don't have to be there at all. I don't have to spot anything. Wendy with the pull downs, double kettlebell front squat, I don't have to be there. I only need to be at one person in this session to spot them. Now, I'm not saying you ignore the other ones, but I need to be with the guy with the bar on his spine standing on one leg, right? Especially Casey, because he's a strong kid, right? But you see that this looks like 10 different exercises. Like, how does he do it? Well, they're just family trees, right? So, Q for Casey, Wendy's second exercise, Ryan's exercise is head to the ceiling. Get that vertical torso, right? The Q becomes the same. Right? I'm cueing one thing with different people at once, right? So this appears chaotic, but I see it as just very simple. This is like, a salad with extra chicken, salad with no chicken, chicken with no lettuce, right? I just see there's little variations that I'm going to play within the same family trees, right? So I like that Karate Kid line, like 2 branches, same tree. They're just multiple branches from the same tree. You start thinking of your exercises family trees, right? The squat variations, the hinge variations, like everything becomes easy to coach, right? Somebody came out to visit Results Fitness recently, and they asked us, how do you do all these exercises? How come you create all these exercises? And Brandy, who's one of my head coaches, says, we don't. We just stick to the fundamental movement patterns, and the variations that you see are not the magic, right? That's just little tweaks, right? And if you don't know what any of these exercises are, trust me, they're all simple, right? A line I got from Mark Verstegen years ago was simple exercises coached savagely well, right? That's what we want to do. And this is hard too, and I'm guilty of it, because all that 1% real sexy stuff that goes on Instagram and blows up, right? Like everybody sees like somebody doing something kind of cool. The bulk of what we do at Results Fitness is very boring. Heavy exercises with good form, right? I showed my most highest performing Instagram clip ever is I don't even know if it may just be I'm wearing a white hoodie and Tiana's in a red t-shirt. I don't even know, but it outperformed everything. And she's doing a TRX iso hold, right? A row iso hold while doing a dumbbell press, right? And then in the next clip, I showed the progression that she rows and presses. That's super simple. It got 750,000 views. Her at 119 pounds doing an 85-pound chin-up, I think is far more impressive. People are like, yeah, it's pretty cool, right? The bulk of what we do is basic stuff. The exercise variations are limitless, but the bulk of what we do is simple things, right? So delivering the session now. Check in, username, Adrian, what's up? What's up, Nick? This is how I do it. I have physical contact with everybody. I learned this during lockdown, right? So I competed in martial arts. When we touch gloves, that means we were going to fight. I'd be like, what's up? And now it was on, right? That means we're about to kill each other. But that was our little touch of respect. So during the lockdown, you couldn't shake hands because virus, whatever. We started doing this. I make physical contact with everyone. I learned this actually from my Taekwondo instructor. He said, you got a big class in front of you. It goes, your job is to coach every single person at once. And it could just be as simple as like coming by and going, nice, right? They're doing something well, reinforce it. They're doing something wrong, you correct it. But I start off with, I use their name and physical contact. They could all be, my guys come in and they're quite autonomous. They'll all start warming up and doing their stretches. And I just come in, I go around them all. And then I check in and I usually ask a question. So we have, I'll cover this in a second. We have sprinkler cues, hose pipe cues, shower cues, and then a bath cue, which is a deep conversation one-on-one. But I'll be like, hey, how's the knee? How's your knee? Good? All right? Does it still hurt? Okay. So I'll just check in. That's something that I know about her. I'm like, hey, how was the weekend? Like, I'll check in with somebody and I'll do my rounds. So I've touched everybody, right? That's important because I think sometimes when you see these large group stuff, you've got your rock star client who just comes in and trains and doesn't need a whole lot of instruction. They get lost in the shuffle. They don't get that attention, right? Right, because your problem child gets all the attention, right? The good client gets ignored. This makes sure I got six people to get, right? And then I have it. This is my little cheat sheet. I did Adrian, Maria, and then what was your name?
Okay.
Yep. And your name? So that was my order. I'm back to Adrian. When he's on his first exercise and I'm ahead, I'm like, she's next, then it's you, then it's you. And I just move around like that. So when I do my first contact, that reinforces the order of my guys. Now, I don't get really stuck to it, but I'm like, next up is Adrian. I've just finished here. I go back to him, right? Because the key is what you don't want to be is you just standing here like this, right? You've got to be moving, right? But when I move from Adrian, I'm going to be moving like this so I can still see him, right? That's part of the art of this, right? And this is from the 5 love languages. A better title for this would be 5 languages for connection. Physical touch is one, right? And with this book, it means like hugging, kissing, like more intimate stuff. For me, it's just physical. This is my recognition, my love language to my clients, right? My athletes. I call them all athletes, by the way. If you have a body, you're an athlete. That's what we call them. Physical contact, and it could be a fist bump, it could be a high five, anything that you do in your culture. In England, it would be a handshake. Very proper in England. So I'm from Scotland, so on the southern peninsula of Scotland, right, just at the bottom half of it, there's just like kind of horrible place, right, just down there, and it's called England. Don't ever go.
God.
So quality time and attention, that should be part of the session, right? Now, it's divided up by 5 or 6 people, but in my head, I'm like, I got to get 10 minutes with everybody. Like, that's how I have to think of it. And what I'll do sometimes is I'm like, hey, Jen, you're on your last session. We're going to push it today, but I got Nick on his first one. So I'm going to spend a little more time with him. You grab me for anything. That's how we do it, right? Because he's now getting empowered. That comes back to words of affirmation. He's doing a great job, and I'm like, grab me if you need anything, but you're solid. Right, so this is part of the coaching skill set, right? This is the stuff that you're my guys learn from me quickly because they see me every day, but you don't get taught this. Any cert you've taken talks about exercises and setting up the leg extension machine, right? How many pages of the first cert you took, how many pages did you get on where to move the chair on the back of the leg extension machine or the chest press, right? And what pin to put in, right? Bicep curl, 2 pages. Start, finish, right? You didn't really need to know that, but how to cue it. So acts of service are, if I come and I bring Courtney the kettlebell, that actually counts, right? If I say to her, you're good getting your own kettlebell, that's a word of affirmation, right? But I try to get through all 5 of these, physical contact, and it could be, she just finishes a set, and I'm like, solid, boom, right? She already smiled doing it. She didn't even do anything, just sitting there writing on her notes, right? She's got a high point for her day. Right? And then gifts is one I put in parentheses. You join my gym or you renew, you get a free t-shirt. Right? You get a free t-shirt. And if you hit anything like a PR or something, like we did Mom's Gone Strong, anybody who hit a PR got a specially designed t-shirt. And we give them it. When you renew, we give them a t-shirt, you give them a gift, and they'll all wear them. Right? They'll wear them like their team uniforms. Right? Other thing too is if you hit a PR, we have a bell in the gym that you ring, right? You ring the PR bell, and my clients are like Pavlov's dogs, man. The bell rings, everybody cheers. No matter what you do, you're like, hey! Like, what was that? Oh, it was Wendy got a PR. You guys know, right? Wendy got a PR. So this is the magic of the group session. It starts to be the whole, like if I had Adrian just bang out a set of 50 push-ups right now, and his PR before was 48, when he gets to 45, you guys are going to start going nuts, right? You want to do it? Right? But that's part of it. So it becomes like, this is his team. You know the end of Karate Kid 1, for those of you old enough to see it, right? Not the new one with 2 branches, 1 tree, right? The original one, I'm a spoiler, right? They go to the All Valley Under 18 Karate Championships, right? Daniel has 7 fights to win it. which means there's 2 in the final, 4 in the semis, 8 quarters, 16, 32, 64, 128. It means there's 128 under 18 black belts in the San Fernando Valley. Remember watching this when I was a kid in Scotland. First thing that hits me is, man, that stadium's sold out. They can't sell out a Clippers game today, but they could sell out the under 18 All-Valley Karate Championships. Second thing that hits me is no pads, no mouthpieces, no gloves, nothing. Bare knuckle fighting. I'm like, America, man. It's scary, right? But spoiler alert, Daniel wins the tournament with the crane kick, which if you do right, no can defend, right? But the final scene in the movie is him cheering with all his friends around him, lifting him up, and his coach in the background just going, just nodding. That's your role as a coach. Your role is to have that guy be the star. So he hits his PR, he rings the bell, the team cheers, and I just nod till he comes back and he gets his fist bump. Right? That's how you build that community. Right? Oh man, Krista, I have 1 minute left. Okay, let me go fast. Don't grow roots. You got to be moving. Like I had my step in a 1 hour session. I'll do 5,000 steps. Right? I'm moving so much with clients. Right? So I just had to track that. That would be my fast check if you're not hitting your coaching thing. So don't grow roots. See the big picture. You're always in a position where I can see as many of these clients as I can. Right? Cue for the whole room is a sprinkler. All right, face me. That's the cue for the whole room. Cue for the exercise, tight core, push away. That's the hose pipe. That's focused on one exercise. So sprinkler, hose pipe. Shower is a cue for a single athlete. Adrian, a little tighter with those elbows, right? So I want in rotation when I'm cueing a sprinkler cue, a hose pipe cue, and a shower cue, right? This is all in your notes, by the way, in the PDFs, right? Voice, I'll talk this afternoon. Embrace technology. All our programs are delivered on Bridge Athletic. It's an app that our clients will have the workout in front of them. I was kind of hesitant on this when we first got it, because I liked teaching. I like to be more involved in coaching. This is my assistant coach. There's a video of the exercise, and it tells them the sets, reps, and loads that they have to do. So if I'm spotting Adrian, Courtney knows that pull downs are next. And by the way, look at this. Horizontal a squat pattern with an upper body pull pattern, right? Same thing that we do, and we just have a stretch in the middle. Use technology. If you're not using an app, start considering one, right? It becomes an assistant coach for you and allows you to coach more. Because you've all had this before, right? Maria's due to do split squats, and it just says on a piece of paper, split squats. And she says, what is split squats again? And I'm like, this one we did over here, remember? She's like, okay, how much weight? Right? And you become an exercise kiosk where she comes in to check on what the exercise is and goes away later, and then somebody else comes up to ask you what the exercise is. This frees you up to coach, right? It's my assistant coach. Boom. Questions we don't have time for more on programming. That's my book. Free stuff, scan that. We have a monthly membership site where every programming talk, every seminar I've ever done with Perform Better is up in there. We add one a month. You guys do this. I'm going to try to keep you. I'm going to try to keep you as members in my gym and my membership site. But your first month is free, right? So you scan that, and it is also at the desk at the front. Our table, our Results Fitness University, and Joel and Mac will be at the desk if you want to check that out. So scan that, and guys would love to have you in our group. And I mean this sincerely, guys. You had a lot of places you could have been today. Not just here. You could have been to see any of my other 3 amazing presenters. You could have been in the Q&A room with my other amazing presenters. You could have been anywhere in the world. You could have been coaching your clients, and you chose to spend that with me. Thank you. I don't take it for granted. I'll see you this afternoon in the hands-on. I'm out.